a rain-slicked window overlooking a cold, modern architectural firm in the heart of the city. Meet Liam, a rising architect with eyes like flint and a mind that never stops calculating. Liam stands over a drafting table, his hands adjusting a compass with surgical precision. He was precise, focused, and perpetually shadowed by a subtle anxiety he couldn't articulate. The firm had just secured its biggest contract, the redesign of the Grand Opera House. A blueprint of a grand, gold-trimmed theater unfurls across the screen in slow motion. The lead position, however, was contested between Liam and his rival, the charismatic Evelyn. Evelyn appears in a doorway, bathed in warm light, laughing with a group of senior partners. She was beloved by the bosses. She could charm the chrome off a fixture with a single smile. Liam watches her from the shadows of his cubicle, his face a mask of cold observation. He needed to understand her angle, to find her weakness, and he chose the Barium Meal. Late that evening, Liam finds Evelyn alone by the elevator bay in the empty, echoing office. The elevator light flickers rhythmically against the dark marble floor as they stand together. "Hey, Evelyn," Liam begins, his voice dropping to a low, conspiratorial whisper. "I just heard a rumor that the partners are worried about the acoustic engineers on this project. They think the whole initial phase needs an immediate audit." He lied with effortless poise. He watches her face intently, looking for the microscopic cracks in her polished exterior. Evelyn doesn't move, but her left index finger begins to stroke the edge of her purse strap, close up on the finger twitching against the leather. A rhythmic, nervous subconscious tick. Her eyes flicker, not in fear, but in a cold, sharp flash of calculation. "Ah, interesting," she replies. Her voice is smooth as glass, despite the physical leak. Liam immediately decoded the reaction. She wasn't surprised or defensive about the error. She knew there was no issue, because she had already secretly vetted the engineers herself. Her dismissal was an alpha signal. She was already thinking of how to use his leak against him. Liam had his answer. She wasn't vulnerable on technical grounds, so he had to pivot. The architectural review arrived a week later in a boardroom that smelled of old money. Heavy mahogany tables and leather chairs filled the room as desk notes dance in the light. The tension in the air is thick, like a physical weight pressing down on the participants. Liam had prepared a design that was bold, modern, and perhaps dangerously provocative. Evelyn's design sits next to his, safe, elegant, and undeniably traditional. As they began, Liam utilized the Rainbow Ruse to frame the narrative around her personality. Evelyn's design is beautiful and sensitive to historical context. He conceded gracefully. The partners nod in agreement, their faces relaxing as they look at her classical drawings. Then came the pivot as Liam maintained intense eye contact with the lead partner, Mr. Sterling. Evelyn possesses a unique paradox that defines her work, Liam says, leaning forward. She projects immense control in the spotlight. Privately, she fears her work lacks brilliance. It was a classic book. Everyone feels that specific insecurity between creativity and safety. The partners glance at Evelyn, then back at Liam, seeing him as a man of profound insight. Evelyn's forced smile looks brittle, like parchment paper about to tear under pressure. She knew she was being read in front of the men who controlled her entire career. Evelyn tried to regain ground using Jacques Statement, targeting Sterling's own ego. "Mr. Sterling, you are at a stage where your focus has shifted from accolades to legacy." Sterling leans back, his eyes narrowing as he considers the weight of her words. "You are looking for a structure that will define your era, a standard that is timeless." This appeal to a man's mortality is a powerful, universal psychological lever. The boardroom goes dead silent as the psychic weight of her observation sinks in. Liam recognized the tactic immediately. It was a broad strokes reading presented as insight. He needed to break her momentum by hacking her cognitive load. If she's so set on legacy, Liam interrupted, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "How will your classical lobby integrate new acoustic paneling? launched into a series of highly specific, contradictory technical questions. Have you cross-referenced the 2026 fire codes with the 1920 structural limitations? Evelyn's eyes dart toward her notes, her composure beginning to fracture and fray. The required insulation and the aesthetic constraints you champion are incompatible, Evelyn. Liam continues relentlessly, stacking complex challenges and moral obligations at high speed. If we choose legacy over innovation, we choose vulnerability and failure, don't we? Evelyn wasn't prepared for the technical onslaught. She didn't have the codes memorized. Her mask slipped, and the poised architect was replaced by a woman who looked flustered. She stumbled over her words, her hands gesturing wildly as she tried to find an anchor. Liam's aggression had successfully overwhelmed her social performance and her ego. He had revealed her human frailty, her limitation, in the most public way possible. He looked around the room, meeting the partner's eyes with a calm, predatory stillness. This project needs vision that is robust and tested, not just beautiful, he said. The partners no longer saw a junior architect. They saw a tactician and a leader. They saw a man who could probe weakness and navigate the chaos of a billion-dollar build. Evelyn was no longer the safe bet. She was now the gamble they couldn't afford to take. Liam knew his moves weren't about mystical magic or special gifts. It was pure psychology, the art of seeing the invisible strings that move us all. By observing reactions to misinformation, you find the truth that people try to hide. By presenting universal truths as specific insights, you create an illusion of intimacy. By intentionally overstressing the mind, you force the true self to emerge from the mask. You don't just predict the future in these moments. You actively architect it. You become the profiler in the boardroom, the hidden hand in every social interaction. The tools of cold reading are available to anyone willing to look past the surface. We are all readable, open books to those who know how to scan the pages correctly. Liam walked out of that boardroom, knowing the contract was already in his pocket. The city lights below looked like a grid of data points waiting to be exploited. In 5 minutes, he had dismantled a rival and secured a legacy of his own. The screen fades to a deep, pulsing crimson as the office lights turn off one by one. True power isn't in what you say, but in what you make others reveal about themselves. The secrets of the mind are the ultimate leverage in a world of social performance. Every blink, every twitch, and every hesitation is a map to a person's inner world. If you want to master the human profile, you have to look deeper than the skin. Every interaction is a doorway into the subconscious of those around you. Knowledge is not just power, it is the ultimate shield against manipulation. Understanding the playbook is the first step toward writing your own rules. The master of the room is always the one who listens for what is left unsaid. The light from a single desk lamp illuminates the logo of the channel. Subscribe to Deep Mind Portal